Hello everyone, welcome to the fifth session of phrasal verbs. We're going to cover break and call today. Here's a little bit about me. Please rate, review, subscribe and recommend the course. Also please leave your suggestions and comments below. So we'll start with break. The first one is breakaway. Breakaway is leave an organization, usually to form a new one. The STB broke away from the Labour Party. So that means leaving an organization. Take maybe to form your own organization or like Arnab Goswami, he left the organization, he broke away from Times Now so that he could form his own organization, right? So break away means leaving an organization, usually to form a new one. Next we have breakdown. Breakdown has four different meanings. First one is end negotiations unsuccessfully, right? The talks between the manager and unions broke down peacefully. Okay. So ending negotiations in a very unsuccessful way. So when you're talking to somebody, the management and the unions, when they talk, so maybe they broke down. I don't know why have they put peacefully here. I don't think it will be peacefully. I mean, not in a good way, right? So that's how. Breakdown. Next is start crying. I break down usually, especially I think I'm probably going to break down on Valentine's Day. I don't want to spend alone, but I think that's how it's going to be, right? So breaking down means start crying. He broke down in tears, or maybe a lot of people on Valentine's Day sab yaad aate hai. Oh, I mean, especially if you've broken up and you're single. Not happened with me, fortunately. But then so you start crying. So he broke down in tears, probably because of that. Next you have stop working. My car's broken down, so I came by taxi. So broke down means it stopped working. So something that stopped working. The fourth one is remove a barrier or obstacle. He had to break down their opposition to hide his ideas, or this guy removed the barrier. He broke down the obstacle to cross it. He removed the barrier. So removing a barrier or an obstacle is also breaking down. So breakdown has four different meanings: ending negotiations unsuccessfully, start crying, stop working, or remove a barrier or an obstacle. Use it according to your intention of using it in a sentence. The next one that we have is break in. Break in has three different meanings. The first one is go into a building to steal something. The burglars broke in and stole the TV and video. I think this phrasal verb you'll find a lot because choriyan to hoti rehti hain. So whenever you open the newspaper, you're going to find this one a lot. Okay, so break in means to go into a building to steal something. The next one is interrupt something. I'm sorry to break in on your conversation, but there's a problem, right? So breaking on, I mean someone's having a romantic conversation, this and that, and some protest started in college. So your friend called up, or he turned up and he's like, just let's go. So he will probably apologize to break in your conversation, right? Or interrupt your conversation. The third meaning is carefully use new products till they are fully functional. I must watch my speed until I break in my new Volvo. So break in means that use the new products till they are fully functional, till they are very comfortable with them, right? नहीं कोई चीज़ें नहीं आती, लैपटॉप देखो जो फर्स्ट आते फर्स्ट वीक सेकंड वीक कितनी इज्जत होती है, and just look at it after a year, it'll all be covered in dust and mud and you're just using it still, right? So carefully use the products. Okay, next we have break off. Break off has two different meanings. The first one is break a piece from something. She broke off a square of chocolate and gave it to her dog. So breaking a piece from something, right? एक बड़ी सी chocolate से you broke off a piece to give it to somebody, to give it to her dog or something. And break off means to end a relationship. I hope this doesn't happen on Valentine's Day or anywhere close to it for anyone, but she broke off the engagement. She broke off their engagement when she found out that he'd been unfaithful. Of course anybody should. So right, so breaking off means ending a relationship. So we have two meanings then: break a piece from something and ending a relationship. Okay, next one is break out. Break out means start a war or a conflict. They were worried that the war will break out. Or a heated conversation, when there was a heated conversation, I feared that a fight might break out, right? So that means a war or a conflict might start, right? So breaking out means starting of a war or conflict. Next is break out in. Break out in means sweat heavily, develop skin sores or irritations. The measles caused me to break out in a rash. So breakout in means that you sweat heavily, and if you're sweating heavily, तो क्या होगा, your skin will, it'll develop problems, it's going to develop irritation and all that. So the measles caused me to break out into a rash. Next is breakout off. Breakout off means to escape. 3 dangerous category A prisoners broke out of the prison last night, right? सो ब्रेकिंग आउट, एक तो ब्रेक आउट ऑफ मतलब तोड़ दिया, प्रेजेंट एस्केप करके चले, तोड़ दिया तो नहीं एग्जैक्टली, मतलब एस्केप कर गए, वॉट एवर वे दे चूज. सो दिस इज अ रियल बिग प्रॉब्लम, एटलीस्ट विद द थीव्स एंड ऑल. if they break out of the prisons, it's going to be a problem for us. So but anyway, breaking out means escaping. Break out of means to escape. Next is breakthrough. Breakthrough is pass a barrier or obstacle. The crowd broke through the police barriers and attacked the hunters. So breaking through means passing a barrier, passing an obstacle or a barrier. So the crowd broke through the police barriers and attacked the hunters. Next is break up. Break up has 4 different meanings. First one is breaking into many pieces. The plate broke up when he dropped it on the floor. Very simple. If you drop a plate on the floor, obviously it's going to break down unless it's steel. So breaking into many pieces. Second is close an organizational institution for the holidays. Schools break up at the end of June for summer holidays, the time when I'm very happy. I used to be very happy. So that means it's going to close for some summer holidays, winter vacations, whatever. The third one is finish a relationship. I won't say more on it because of Valentine's Day, Valentine's week. So yeah, finish a relationship. They had been going out for a couple of years before they broke up. I think a very common phenomenon now, right? The fourth one is become inaudible over the telephone because of the interference, right? You're breaking up, I'll call you in a minute and see if we get a better connection. This happens when you're talking something really important or something really interesting. Usually, irony of life, जब भी कुछ interesting बात करोगे, your voice is going to break up, so it'll keep breaking up, it'll be a little inaudible. So that's the fourth meaning, right? Okay, moving on to call. First one is call after. Call after means name someone after somebody else. She was called Rose after her late grandmother, right? As in taking names as when someone dies and all. So what do? You name somebody after somebody, na? A lot of times this happens even like if some people's parents expire at a young age. So when they happen to have kids, they usually tend to put the name of their parents, right? So she was called Rose after her late grandmother. Next is call around. Call around means to visit. I called around but she wasn't in. So you plan to visit but she wasn't there. Next you have call back. Very simple. Call back means to return a phone call. I must call her back when we get to office, and a lot of people are so mean that even when you have these missed calls, you don't call back, right? So calling back basically means returning a phone call, right? Next we have call for. Call for has 5 different meanings. First one is demand. The opposition called for the minister's resignation after the scandal broke. Of course, scandal broke, so to save the party, they will demand. They demanded give your resignation. So that means demand. Next is go to collect something. The courier called for your parcel, but I told him it wasn't ready yet. So that means you have to go to collect something. Okay. The third meaning is telephone for something. I called for a cab right away, right? Calling for you're calling for a cab or calling for something, calling for dinner or whatever, right? Next is go and collect someone to take them out. I called for you at 7, so be ready because the film starts at past, right? So call for means to go and collect someone to take them out. You're calling for that person at 7, so you'll go, you'll pick him up and you'll take him for a movie. The last one is require. An emergency like this calls for some pretty drastic action, right? So that means it requires a pretty drastic action. It calls for a very drastic action. Next is call forth. Call forth means make something happen. The protests called forth a strong reaction from the police, right? So that means the police gave a very strong reaction because of the protest. So it made something happen. It made the strong reaction. It made them give that strong reaction, right? So calling forth means making something happen. Next is call in. call in has two meanings. First one is get someone to come and do a job. We had to call in a plumber because the sink was leaking and I had no idea how to fix it, right? So you called in a plumber, you got him to do a job. The second one is stop and visit. I called in, for example, you're out somewhere and then you feel कि अरे मम्मा मेरी ये कोई relative तो ये रहता है, so you called in on Jenny on my way home because she was not well at that moment and you asked if she needed something. So I want somebody to call into my place, and give me some comfort because I'm not well. So calling in means call in to stop and visit, right? Next is call on. Call on also has four different meanings. The first one is cancel. The concert had been called off because the singer was down with a bad flu, right? The second one is call off. Order someone to stop attacking. Call off your lawyers. Okay, I've mixed call off and call on today, so please just the first two are call off and the next two are call on, right? For call on, next one is asked for help. The president called on the wealthy countries for financial aid, right? If the countries are wealthy, so the president is definitely going to call on in case you have some economic crisis. And the second one is challenge. He called the speaker on several misstatements of the fact, right? So he challenged the speaker that just come and just see what what do you have to say. So he is challenging him, right? And call off means cancel. Like the concert was called off because the main leader had a flu. And second is to order someone to stop attacking, like call off the lawyers because we can work something out. So please, just stop attacking unnecessary. Next is call round. Call round is visit. I called round on my way home, but nobody was in. The next one is call out. Call out means to expose or accuse someone of wrongdoing or incompetence. He called them out over awarding contracts to family members. Obviously, that's nepotism and that's really bad, right? So you expose someone or accuse someone of wrongdoing or incompetence. Next is call up. Call up is to summon someone for military service. Army called up the reserve soldiers when the war broke out, right? So you called the people that okay, now it's your turn. So you summoned some people summoned the soldiers on a dock for military service. The next one is call up telephone. I called him up as soon as I got a phone call and to tell him the news, right? So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot.